It's for my hustlers. Yeah. Look, raising hell, but the shit that I'm running was heaven sent. When broken bounce back, I've been grinding out ever since. Rising intelligent, I could rob a village while asleep, even if I was blind with an elephant.
I love this song. I love this. I absolutely like.
I love the way you react to songs.
Yo, I love this. Now, shout out Shane Wall. I don't know if Shane Wall obviously is not listening to anything I'm saying, but like, yo, whenever she is listening for whatever she's listening for, if this manages to make it its way to Shane Wall, anybody who like finds this stuff and wants to send it out to Shane Wall, they should do that. Like, make sure she knows we love Shane Wall over here. Like, no, she's fire. She's absolutely fire. And like this
hardcore
album with Apollo Brown is ridiculous.
Is it? Is it something I need to listen to? It's been a while since you've educated me in music.
Oh, fam. I say every minute's been a while. Every Sunday.
Yes. Speaking of which, for the love of God, yesterday's playlist was killer.
Oh, yesterday's mix? Yesterday's mix was fire. Yesterday's mix was fire.
I always play it Mondays and Easter. I was banging my head. I was screaming and shouting in my flat because it's so good.
Yesterday's mix was something else. I played it. I can't tell you how many times I looped it. Like, I looped it, I looped it so many times. Hey, listen, before we even get into the talk about the conversation, can we take 2 seconds out to talk about how amazing Corinne is? Can we just take 2 seconds? Can we take 2 seconds? Because I feel like we missed this last week and we didn't do it.
We did, we did. We owe her like twice.
We owe her 2 times over. And before we even get into a conversation about what we're doing here, what all of this is about, what our lives mean, what all of this is for, so on and so forth, I feel like we need to take 5 minutes to just observe the awesomeness that is Corinne. Like, I feel like we need to just make that a general recognition that anybody and everybody has a Corinne in their life. Be nice to her this week. You know what I'm saying? I don't know if you have a Corinne in your life, but if y'all have a Corinne in your life, be nice to Corinne this week. All right?
Everybody needs a Corinne in their lives.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. If y'all don't have a Corinne in your life, you need to find one and then go be nice to her. No, go find the Corinne. Because it might be the Corinne, but go find the Corinne.
It might be.
Corinne, you know what I'm saying? That's what everybody needs in their life. Everybody needs a little, Corinne, man. I'm just saying. Anyway, so, listen.
Totes.
Thank you for coming along, homegirl. Thank Corinne for coming along.
Thank you.
What are we doing here? Y'all know what episode we on?
We're on 19.
19! We need drum rolls, man. That's what we need. We need drum rolls.
We do. Next week is 20, man.
It's a big thing. But look, this is what it is. It's Dr. E's Open Seminar Series. We're on episode number 19. Your boy over here, Dr. E. Real life PhD. Y'all know how it goes. Bars and everything. We've been kicking it all day. But you know how it is. And homegirl on the other side of the screen over there for you. Kicking that, we're having these regular type conversations. Doing the regular thing we do every week, bringing that education for a new generation. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying?
Right.
I know y'all hear
right.
But this is what we do. So this is what it is. Every single week we provide those the kinds of seminars that we usually have to pay through the nose for in higher education. They're usually provided in stuffy rooms with a whole bunch of crusty old white men. I didn't say that out loud. Never mind.
We did. Hashtag crusty old white men.
We did that last week. We did do that last week.
We Beetlejuiced it.
We did Beetlejuice it last week. But in any case, so it's the kind of seminar, it's the kind of education that you usually have to pay through the nose for to go to like higher education, go to wherever else and get it from there. We're doing it ourselves right here, live for free, every Monday, 7 p.m, IG Live, and then you can also find it afterwards on YouTube. You can find it on Spotify. Every single episode is up on Spotify now, so you're going to sign up on that. Not to mention the mixes are up on SoundCloud and Spotify too. Yo, we're everywhere, fam. So do me a favor, do everybody a favor, subscribe, sign up, and go tell your friends, tell your homies, because you don't get this kind of thing anywhere else. I'm just telling you. I'm saying this. Y'all don't get this anywhere else.
It is truly an empire, sir.
I was saying the other day, right? Here's the thing. This is the thing. There's a reason why you don't. I'm not even being. I am being a little cocky, but I ain't even being just cocky. Nah, this is not for real, because I ain't even just being cocky. Now think about it. Because if you have a PhD, like your boy here does, right? Actual PhD in philosophy, book printed and published. Y'all go look me up, man. But the point is, don't type in Dr. E. You ain't gonna get none.
You need the full name for that one.
It's Ithara Saraf, and for those who can't pronounce it, that's how you say it. Learn something. Hashtag learn something. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
But the point is, those people who go out there and get PhDs, you don't expect to see them on IGTV. And the reason you don't expect to see them on IGTV providing lessons and seminars and education this way, the reason you don't expect that is because they're busy out there like doing whatever it is that they're supposed to be doing. You know, they're publishing books and God knows whatever else and teaching the other rich kids in the, you know, big fancy universities and blah, 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 all that stuff. By the same token, now hold up, by the same token, the people you do find on IGTV, your mans who do turn up on IGTV, the ones who do want to kick knowledge or whatever else and be trying to tell you what to do with your life on a regular basis, I don't know what the hell they're talking about. Yo,
and here you are.
I am here. I'm on today. I'm here for all the smoke today. I am here for it today. Yo, all the podcasters, all your seminars, and no one else is doing this seminar. But everybody else out there trying to kick knowledge, feel like you know something, feel like you can educate the general population. I'm here for the smoke. You can't do what we could do. You don't have the degrees to back you. I'm just saying. So that's why.
I gotta back you up on that, man.
That's just what it is. That's just what it is. That's just what makes us us, man. That's what makes us us. That's why ain't nobody doing what we doing, man. I'm just saying, man. It's just a unique one.
I love this. It's like today's like, you know.
Nah, because I feel like we've had this conversation too many times. We've introduced these open seminars too many times, and at no point have we ever gotten in our bag and talked about exactly how freaking amazing it is that we're doing what we're doing. And I feel like, hell, if I ain't gonna say it, nobody else is. And I understand the taboo about not tooting your own horn, but to be honest with you, homie, I've been practicing on this damn instrument for mad years. I'm pretty good at tooting.
Hey, Dr. E, we're just like telling it like it is, Ethan.
Hey, it's like gravity out here, fam.
It's like gravity.
It's like gravity out here, fam. Hey, I toot, man. It's like gravity out here. So, open seminar, episode number 19. So by now, y'all should know what it is. And if you didn't know what it is, I just gave you the rundown of what it is. I ain't going through all of that again. Took mad energy out of me. Now, for real, took mad energy out of me. We still got another 50-odd minutes to go for this. So I ain't trying to kill myself mad early on. So, yo, hold on.
Gosh.
Hey.
I'm already gone.
Yo, mask up.
Mask off. I keep my mask off. Mask off. Mask off. I keep my mask off.
Yo, mask up. Yeah.
I've been.
I'm just.
No, I'm not one of those naysayers. I do. Believe me.
No, we ain't getting into that. I'm trying to stay peaceful. We are not getting into that. We are not getting into that. We did hashtag stupidity kills. We've been over this. Stupidity kills, hashtag stupidity kills. We've had this conversation. We ain't getting into that, at least not this week. This week is a much more fun situation. I ain't trying to get into that all over again. I did this last week. I'm not trying to get into all of that. We might, because you know me and my mouth. We might, but I ain't trying to. We're going to keep it peaceful.
It's controversial.
No, we're going to keep it peaceful. We're going to keep it friendly. We're going to keep it like, you know, nice and neat.
Well, yeah, we'll see how far we go, eh?
I can't imagine it's going to go very far. Like, you know, but we'll see. Everybody knows what these seminars have been like up until now. I feel like I've offended almost everybody at some point or another, but we'll see. But look, listen, we are episode number 19. We are seminar number 19. Lessons from literature. This is our second lessons from literature. The only one of the month. You get one of these every single month. You had one last month was the introduction. This is our second one this month. So you'll know what it is by now. Every single month, once a month, we're going to introduce a book. What's that? I'm going to introduce a book that for whatever reason I feel like people need to read, people need to know, it's worth you guys spending your time looking at. And here's the way I see it. Obviously, I've read all of these texts and I know all these texts and da-da-da-da. That's, you know, PhD, that's what happens. But I'm just saying, the nice, cool thing would be if anybody out there wants to read the same books that we're suggesting that you guys read, and if anybody has any opinions and thoughts and what have you, then y'all can kick it to us next week. And guess what ends up being part of the lessons from literature next week? Whole conversation. It becomes like a book club between y'all and us. We're going to build on together. You know what it is? Book club, TBT book club, man. Hashtag that is.
We need like an Instagram, you know, gather around the fire book club.
Yeah, man. Yeah, like a build on book club. Right? So I'll bring the banjo.
For real.
See, it's all about alliteration, bro. Build on book club.
Build on book club with banjos.
Build on book club with the banjos. I sound like that's it. I'm 2-3 bars away from some real drill music now. Like it's getting into single syllable.
Okay, let's wind you back.
Right. Run it back. So. This same thing this week. We've got a book for y'all this week. Let me just say this up front. We're gonna have a whole conversation about what the book is. We're gonna chop it up. We talk about the ins and outs of the book, and the whole point is for us to have this conversation together, right? So I'm gonna introduce what I think of as the key areas of the book, the key things that I feel like we need to talk about, or the key things that I think are the most important for us to talk about. Me and Home go over here. We're gonna kick it. We'll figure a few things out in the process. And if y'all feel like reading,
right.
No, for real. And if y'all feel like reading the book. And if y'all feel like educating yourselves, read something, you know, hashtag read something, hashtag learn something, and then hashtag do something. If y'all feel like doing some of that, then by all means do that. Join in, we build on together, man. That's what we do, man. We do this together, bro. We are not on our head, it's together, man. So, having said all of that, there was a poll.
There was a poll. I love the polls. I really love the polls. I look forward to them every week. I'm like, ooh.
I know you do. But it's because I don't know how you stay optimistic. This is what gets me. Listen, homie, we are 19 seminars in. Fam, I don't know if you know what that means. We 19 seminars in.
You have to keep the faith, God.
What is that? We almost 5 months? I can't do my math.
Oh man, no. You should never. Just stick to numbers. Time is too...
Whatever. But the point is, however many months that is, we're this far in at this stage, and you stay optimistic somehow. I don't know how you do it. But okay.
It's a great question. I love the poll.
All right, let's just see how invested we all were in this. You remember the poll question?
I think it was like, does understanding history keep it from repeating?
Oh, check you word for word out here. It's like you wrote it down or something with the pen in your hand. Yeah. Oh, don't see. This is how we know. This is how we know you were the geek at school. This is how we know you were the geek at school. Because I point out the pen.
Everybody needs a geek on their side.
Fam, that was supposed to be me. I did the geeky.
Oh, right.
I did the geeky. Nah, it's cool.
I'm the cheesy. I forgot. You're Mr. Geeky. I'm cheesy.
You're cheddar. That's what it is.
I'm cheddar.
It's geek and cheddar.
Geek and
It's the world's worst. It's the world's worst crime-fighting crew over here. It's geek and cheddar. Like, yo, y'all don't need geek and cheddar to solve any crime whatsoever.
I feel like there's a South Park episode.
No, there really is.
To clean the trash can of society, I've chosen to become more than a man. I am the hero this town needs. I am the king.
But it's geek and cheddar, yo. Any illustrators out there, do something, please don't. Please, if you're, and I've seen, but please don't illustrate that bit. Geek and cheddar, I'm just saying, but that's what it is. It's geek and cheddar, man. It sounds like some kind of like pie mix, like leek and cheddar or something. I don't know, but it's geek and cheddar. He out here solving crimes, geek and cheddar. This is me telling you the historical background of the crime that was committed, and it's just you ending it with a corny line. Nothing gets resolved. Like, no one gets saved. You don't find the criminal.
But it will be fun to watch, I bet you.
It'll be me for an hour explaining why crime isn't really crime and what does it mean in the end. And then you end up with like a really corny end line. It's like, guys, I've seen this in a movie somewhere.
And therein is what we do here.
This crime, I swear I've seen this in a movie somewhere. Guys, listen. No, I'm serious. This is geek and cheddar, bro. It's geek and cheddar. It's the crime fighting duo, bro. It's geek and cheddar. But in any case, listen, there was a poll. Cheddar. There was a poll.
And please.
You're right. The poll question was, does understanding history keep it from repeating? Right? I don't know. What do you think? Because we do this every week. What's your guess? No, you tell me. I don't know, because I actually don't know where I stand on the question. I for real don't know where I stand on the question. I don't have an opinion one way or the other on it. I really don't.
I can see it going both ways, but I think the first, instinct would be yes, to understand what happened before would logically, mathematically avoid you doing it in the future. So I think most people would have voted that way.
All right.
You're gonna say
you're right.
no, aren't you?
No, you're right. But here's my point. I think that the way the split worked out might be telling. Like, you're right. The majority said yes, right? So like, understanding history will keep it from repeating itself. That was the majority of people. They all felt that way. But the split was like 68-32-ish. I don't remember the exact numbers. Something like that. 70-30, 68-30, something. But the point is, it wasn't a clear, it wasn't a decisive way over the line, 70%, 80%, nah, there's no debate here. Now, there were a few people that felt a little way and were unclear about this, and I feel like I get that, right? Because it's what you said a minute ago. There is a common sense way of interpreting what that is, right? Let me just take 2 seconds out just to make a point. If anybody, for whatever reason, in their lives, needs somebody who knows how to work a camera to also be in their lives, shut down silent films. Plug over, then you go back to the seminar. I'm just saying, the plug over, but that's back to the seminar. No, but it's only because it's my boy, so it's cool. Listen, the rest of y'all, you need to work for that plug, but that's just, they get the stamp of approval over here, so we're good. But the point is, So
That was nicely done. I didn't
now
even
you see that little,
coming.
you see the move, you see the little moves. Nah, man, I'm told you, I'm here for the smoke today. I am on today. I told you this. So listen. Now you gotta wait to see the moves today. So there is a common sense interpretation of the question, and that's the way you leaned with it. And I can understand that because it's a common sense interpretation, which is to say that if I know what happened before and I've understood, I was careful when that word was chosen. I was like, I think we know why we picked that word.
Exactly, yeah.
But to say that if you've understood what came before, you ought not repeat it, right? But there is that common sense, and you're not wrong in that. There is that common sense, what have you. I get it. The problem with it is that it's not borne out by fact, obviously.
Yeah, obviously. Unfortunately.
For example, there are mad history books. Mad history books. And mad historians. And some of the people who run the governments of the world know those histories.
Yes.
No, they know them because they studied them at school. They had to. I'm not saying they understand it in the deepest, most empathetic way. I'm not saying that, but I'm saying they know the facts. And yet, I feel like we're still repeating-ish. Like we still.
This is,
But maybe this is a little abstract. Let's break it down a little further. It's a little abstract. So let's just break this down. In your life, homie. Now you see how that works? In your life, homie. No, tell the truth though. At every stage of your life, I'm speaking for myself as well as I feel like I can speak to you here, but at every stage of our life, we feel like, or I'm sure most people feel like they exert a large amount of at least intellectual or cognitive energy in trying to understand what came before.
Absolutely. 100.
I feel like that's what most people do most of the time. They might not call it that. Like they're not going to say I'm exerting enormous quantities of cognitive energy. What they'll say is I'm thinking about yesterday, innit? But it's the same thing. But what I'm saying is we do that a lot. Nevertheless,
Absolutely.
I bet you we've all said to ourselves on numerous occasions, why am I here again? How do I always keep getting stuck in the same place? Why is my life such a loop?
Well, I feel like that's a different thing, maybe, because
I'm just listen. I'm not judging.
Yeah, sure.
I'm not criticizing.
Sure.
Because I'm talking about myself too. So I'm not judging. I'm not criticizing. All I'm saying is that it's not borne out by the facts, right? So yes, the common sense would suggest that if you understand what came before, you should be able to anticipate its repetition and perhaps, therefore, stop it. Cool.
Yeah.
I get that. But it's just not borne out by the facts. Like the history is just otherwise. Like the case is otherwise. And we can look at it in the abstract sense, and we can look at it in the broad sense and talk about world history. Cool. And there's a lot of repetition here. Or we could talk about in our own personal individual lives. And if we're being perfectly honest with ourselves, we loop a lot, and it frustrates us a lot. In fact, it's the source of a lot of our frustrations. Like, I'm still doing the same thing I was doing when I was a little kid. It's the same criticisms that have been haunting me all of my life, and I feel like I've grown and changed, but why haven't I really changed? All that ish. So it's just not borne out, right? So I'm not judging or criticizing. I'm just saying it's not borne. So there's an awkward tension. To speak to that, let me just try and speak to that for a second. And we're going to lead to our book here. Because I'm a geek, Cheddar. Hey, Cheddar, listen.
Yes, geek.
I feel offended when you say it. You know what I mean? Because I feel like you put a little extra sauce on it when you say it. Like, I feel like you just pour a little bit of extra sauce on it. There's some like ketchup on that.
Can I just say, I think we've reinvented our Pinky in the Brain. It's like...
No, it's Geek and Cheddar.
Geek and Cheddar.
Where are you going, Brain?
Back to the cage to plan for tomorrow night.
Why? What are we gonna do tomorrow night?
The same thing we do every night, Pinky. Try to take over the world.
What are we gonna talk about today, Cheddar?
Same thing we talk about every week, Cheddar. Trying to explain the world. What are you talking about? Nah, it's like all kinds of technical faults out here. Mics are being destroyed left, right, and center. Way too many jokes, lad. Just way too many jokes. But listen, we're trying to get serious.
We're not trying to, but it's fun. All right, back to serious.
Listen, Cheddar. Because I'm geek. Stop. We need to stop this because it's making us die out here. Listen, because I'm geek, I watched a few years ago, mad years ago, back when I was doing my PhD, when I was required to be a geek. I was obligated my geek.
Oh yeah.
And it was expensive.
You were paying for the fact.
Yeah, it was an expensive geekdom. So I'm proud of my geekdom. It was expensive. But the point is, the point is it got to the point where in the course of my studying and what have you, I ended up watching this lecture. There was this lecture between, not lecture, debate, forgive me. There was this debate between Noam Chomsky and Michel Foucault. If people don't know who those two people are, Google it. What am I, your teacher out here? Yes. So let me explain who Michel Foucault and Noam Chomsky are. So Michel Foucault, we've mentioned previously, famous French philosopher. I'm a big fan. I think he's a genius. He was considered a genius, but in any case, that's something else. And Noam Chomsky, relatively well known. I feel like everybody should know who Noam Chomsky is by now. But Noam Chomsky, at some stage in the course of his academic career, was cited more often than the Bible in academic papers, which is quite something. In the United States, that tells you something. In an evangelical country like the United States, that says something.
Yeah.
But in any case, so Noam Chomsky, Michel Foucault, they have this famous debate. Y'all should watch it. I can find the links on the feed over here, but you need to watch it because it's like, if for no other reason than this, the fashion. It's amazing because it was like it was in the 70s or 80s or some ish, and it looks terrible. So it's like amazing, right? This is the way everybody's dressed. It's hilarious. Plus, you get to see Michel Foucault in his like natural state. He's a psychopath. I love him, but he's a nut. Like most of the debate, it's just him biting his finger in a really awkward way. It's just weird, but I love the guy. The point is, the debate is between this philosopher in Foucault and this political theorist, as it were, slash philosopher-ish in Noam Chomsky. I don't really giving him that credit, but the point is, in the course of the debate, what they're talking about is Vietnam, imperialism, the United States, yada, 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 yada. Cool. And the debate reaches a head where basically Noam Chomsky gets stuck because what he says is, but at some stage we have to do something to change the circumstances, right? So you got to physically go up and do something, like you got to protest or something. Foucault says, yeah, that's all well and good. I'm down. No, I'm down. Sure, we should do something. But what makes you so sure that what you're doing won't be part and parcel of repeating the same process? Like, how do you know you don't end up in the same position as the people that you're trying to get out of their positions? How do you know? Because every single time this has happened, we've seen this go the wrong way. Like, this has gone left.
Yeah.
Like, Animal Farm is a book, like, that's a thing. Like, it's a thing. Like, we've seen pigs and horses go left. Like, it goes left. And if y'all haven't read Animal Farm, that might be one of our lessons from literature. See how this works?
Seriously,
see how this works?
One of my favorite books
great.
of all time ever.
It's fire. But the point is that how do you know that it won't go left? Now, Chomsky gets stuck at this point, and he has no real retort, and his only thing is that he, of all people, says at some stage the thought has to give way to action. He says at some point thought has to give way to action, and to me, that was a horrendous thing for a thinker to say. Thought has to give way to action? What does that mean? That you're going to act without thinking? Isn't that just bumping into walls and stuff? Like,
no, surely.
If you're acting without thought, what is that? That's how you walk into traffic. What do you mean thought has to give way to action? What do you mean? I need to stop thinking at a certain point.
Give way to action.
Yeah, I need to stop thinking at a certain point and just start acting.
Right. That's very surprising from Chomsky.
But it's because he got stuck.
Or
and he didn't know how to respond.
You're right.
He got stuck.
Right.
And the reason he got stuck is because at a certain point, there is that real risk. Which is to say that your rebellious, revolutionary actions might end up recreating the circumstances you're trying to free yourself from. Now, I don't think that a person should therefore go so far as to say that you should therefore not rebel. No, I don't think that. No, rebel. Burn something, break something, I don't care. Rebel, like a mother, you know what I'm saying? Rebel. But, not without thought. Not thoughtlessly. Not without philosophy.
Absolutely.
Not without understanding what you're doing. And the thing that Foucault was trying to get across is that rebellion, negativity, or like a negative response to the status quo, or an oppositional force, is part and parcel of an ideological framework. An ideological framework includes its opposition. It's part of the system.
Oh, of course.
It's consumed. It's within the system. It allows for a degree of opposition. So the standard, just like I refuse or I reject this, is part of it. You're permitted a degree of rejection. Don't forget, you're allowed to not vote. That's a thing. You don't have to vote. Not voting is a vote. That's a legitimate thing. It was fought for. It was a right fought for, like everything else was fought for and won. So it's not as straightforward as we might think. That's to say, acting in such a way so as to keep history from repeating itself, given that we know what it was, isn't as straightforward as we might think. It's not as straightforward as, well, I don't like what the current state is. I know what it has been before, so I should just oppose this. Well,
sure, yeah.
What does that mean? So, on that note, the difference between Noam Chomsky and today's literature, it's not Noam Chomsky. Today's literature is a book called Open Veins of Latin America, 5 Centuries of the Pillage of a Continent, by an author called Eduardo Galeano. Yeah, hold on, see, because we read out here. Look, it's physical. It's like a physical book, right? Look at that. Like it's.
It has pages and everything.
It's a book.
You know, once in a while, something comes along that changes the way we live. A device so simple and intuitive, using it feels almost familiar. Introducing the 2015 IKEA catalog. It's not a digital book or an ebook. It's a book.
It's a book.
Book.
Like a book. You know the advantages of a book? You know? It's a book.
And the battery doesn't run out.
I'm just saying edit point. Book.
Amazing.
You know what I mean?
No, I know.
I know you know, homie. I know you know. But I feel like they should know too. You know what I'm saying? You know? But the point is, the reason I mentioned this and the reason that we're talking about Eduardo Galeano here is because having read most of Chomsky and having seen that debate with Chomsky's fundamental frustration, or Chomsky's obstacle, let's say the obstacles to Chomsky realizing the vision implied by his critiques in his lectures and his books and so on and so forth. The obstacle to that for Chomsky is the fact that he feels as though it's necessary to deliver historical information as just that, factual information. Just plain factual information. And his argument, I don't disagree with, because his thing is that if you emote, or insofar as one emotes historical or factual information, you open yourself up to the criticism from one or the other side that it's less information and more indoctrination, right? You're not really teaching as much as you are propagandizing. Now, in case anybody hasn't noticed already, I don't pay attention to that rule. I will indoctrinate the living fudge out of you. I don't give a fam. I'm being explicit. And if you still, my thing is, if I tell you I'm indoctrinating you and you still get indoctrinated, that's your own fault now. No, that's your fault now. I can't tell you I'm doing it and then it works. And that's your fault.
Yeah, absolutely.
So over here, now I'm indoctrinating the crap out of you. Right over here, that's what we're doing.
Yeah.
But the point is, his point is that it needs to be delivered in that fashion in order to avoid the criticism and avoid the risk of ideological excitement, as it were, right? But the problem in so doing is that every single one of Noam Chomsky's lectures and every single one of Noam Chomsky's books kind of end the same way. Every one of them. And when I say every one of them, Cheddar, geek over here, watched every one of them. Now, literally, every single Chomsky lecture available online, I watched them all 2 or 3 times over and took the notes, like all of them. Then I went and read everything he wrote, all of it. Because I'm like, all right, my man's a walking encyclopedia. What am I going to miss out on this knowledge? I'm going to take the information in. You're learning. See, when I heard that there was teaching, I took it in. You see, when you're here, there's teaching, take it in, blood. You see what I'm saying? Subscribe to something. Anyway, the point is, his frustration is that they all end the same way insofar as every single one ends up with, so what are we supposed to do then? Like every lecture, the Q&A every lecture, so what do we do then? And the reason he bumps into this, he doesn't understand. And what he doesn't understand is the same issue that Michel Foucault was trying to point out to him in that debate, and he didn't get it. Which is to say that history and my engagement with my life is not fact-based. It's not. If it were fact-based, it would be enough for me to know history and keep it from repeating. But it isn't. It's not fact-based. It's not common sense-based either. I have to empathize with historical positions. I have to feel for them. More than anything else, there has to be a reason for me to do what I'm doing. Because it's much easier for me to just ignore stuff.
Yeah.
Why wouldn't I? Particularly insofar as we paint it in this broad scope and say, well, it's just a matter of the course of history. And okay, if we're talking about hundreds of years over here, then, I'm just a tiny little grain of dust in our whole sand timer. Do you know what I mean? What do I account for anything? It's just easier for me to just watch history roll on by. And Chomsky has to constantly G up his audience the same way at the end of every single one of his lectures and tell them that if everybody else had that attitude, we wouldn't have half the rights that we have now. And he's 100% right in what he's saying.
But don't you think, you know, like the point of Chomsky is to, like, my feeling is with that poll question you had is there's an element that some people don't even know relevant history, you know, don't even know.
That's true.
Enough to be able to make a decision.
That's true.
Or to do otherwise. And Chomsky's role then becomes just know.
That's absolutely true. And I'm absolutely behind the idea that ignorance is one of the most violent things in a society, right? The ignorance of oppression and the ignorance of people suffering within a society is a violent thing insofar as it reinforces, or it's only permitted given the existing privileges of certain groups, right? So you can only be ignorant of my suffering because you didn't suffer it and it wasn't intended to you. Which is why the victims of oppression always know every detail of the oppression. It's always the people on the other side. So whenever you meet somebody who says, yo, so tell me about the war in Iraq, I know you've never had any situation in your life. I know this. Because, like, if you had, you'd know, my G. Like, you wouldn't have to ask me. But that's my point. That's my point. Which is to say that you're absolutely right. There is a whole bunch of people out here who don't know anything. And for those people, it's beneficial for them to just have that information in order for them to make rational decisions someday. But do I need to be informed about the history of colonialism in order for me to conclude that racism is a bad idea?
No, that should just be fact.
Do I need to know about the history of patriarchy in order for me to conclude that domestic violence is a bad thing? Do I need to understand the history of geopolitics to conclude that the way capitalism functions is generally unfair?
Yeah, no.
I'm broke.
Yeah.
I don't know that already. Yeah. I needed to study the history of capitalism and colonialism and whatever else and patriarchy and what have you in order for me to understand that this issue's like terrible. I'm broke. Nobody's got anything good out here. We're all suffering and struggling, and none of it makes any sense. I needed to understand history to get that. I didn't.
So you're saying that there has to be an element of empathy because people are experiencing history.
I have to give a crap
as we speak.
I have to care. I have to care. I have to care. And I don't just mean I have to care about somebody else's oppression. I don't just mean that. I do mean that, but I don't just mean that. I have to care about my own life. I have to care about my own circumstances. I have to care about my own, because you're asking me to think about things beyond the scope of my immediate concern. Why would I? The fundamental question, you and I have joked about this before, because you're cheddar and I'm geek, right? And insofar as you're cheddar, corny is just easy for you. You just go to it. You know what I'm saying? You like cheesy popcorn. It's just, you know what I'm saying? It's just easy for you. You just go to it. You naturally just like, so when you see a cause or what have you, you're like, yeah, man, you're all for it. So you're optimistic with every poll. Me, I'm a philosopher. So my burden is that anything that occurs, I'm like, what's the point?
Yeah.
Or, can I really be bothered though? Because ultimately I might die tomorrow. Like, who cares? You know what I mean? I'm a philosopher. I'm the wrong one to ask. But the point is
or the right one.
But it's illustrative, right? But it's illustrative. It's illustrative of the point I'm trying to make, which is to say that for the majority of human beings, and they're perfectly within their rights to feel this way. But for the majority of human beings, the first most important question, whenever they're introduced to an issue as broad as like history or what have you, why should I care? That's the first question. And it's a legitimate question. Do you know how hard it is for me to just navigate my life? Like, what do you forget? My life is hard to navigate. I have, like, whether or not I have kids, whether or not I'm a single parent of either gender, whether or not I'm broke or I'm living in the hood or what have you, my life is hard to navigate, and just making it through is difficult. Now, you may know why, because you understand the historical analysis that explains the difficulty that I've landed myself in. Nevertheless, I'm still in it. And insofar as I'm in it, I've got mad struggles. I ain't got 15, 20, 30, 45 minutes a day for me to listen to you rambling about what happened in 1865.
Okay, so why should they care?
But that's the point.
I buy that argument, you know? Life is hard. Why should I care?
Why should I care? Here's why I should care. Because it ain't history. It's not history. Because there's bad faith. There's bad faith in paying attention to only your immediate concerns. And we know it too. We know it too. Because the frustrated response when a person says in that frustrated way, yeah, but why should I care? Don't you see how hard my life is? Just as I said a moment ago. That frustration is born of the fact that they know they would rather care. That's to say, I know I'm capable of those thoughts. I don't have the time or the space. I'm resentful of the fact that I lack the time and space to do so. So,
that's quite true.
if only somebody with sufficient sensitivity to my particular concerns could deliver that information in such a way as it felt like it was about me in the first place.
Right. Hence caring. Okay, and how does one do that? I feel like you.
Allow me to introduce Open Veins of Latin America by Eduardo Galeano.
Educate us.
No, for real. The reason I mentioned
You came prepared.
Yeah, it's like I planned this, right? No, the reason we're talking about Galeano, and the reason we're doing this is because he himself doesn't write his history the way Chomsky would. He writes his history incredibly emotively. He expresses. There's a lot of emotion. There's a lot of narrative in it. It's semi-story, semi-history. It's not quite. And this happened in 1863, and this happened in 1794, and this happened. He moves around a lot as well. It's not just like point A to point B. So you don't go from like 1400s and Christopher Columbus or whatever else all the way straight off to all the way straight off to like the modern age. It moves because he's delivering a narrative. He's trying to express a point of view much more than just expressing a historical situation. He's trying to communicate a personal concern, and insofar as that's the case, there's an introduction, right? It's introduced by this particular version. I'm pretty sure all of the versions, all of the copies of this, the link is available. So you can find the version of this in a PDF online. You can click the link here. We came prepared. So the links are available. You can find the PDF, and the PDF is the exact same version of this. The page numbers are almost exactly the same too. So yeah,
Look at that. It's like we're building the book club.
Right? It's like I planned it and thought about it ahead of time and whatever else.
It's like you're an academic.
I know, right? Isabel Allende did the introduction to this book. Isabel Allende is...
Oh my God, really?
Yeah, she's the daughter of the first cousin of Salvador Allende, who was the president of Chile before he was ousted from president of Chile in the original 9/11. September the 11th, 1973, the original 9/11, the first 9/11, the 9/11 that we don't talk about, the 9/11 that the United States was involved in, the 9/11 that decimated and shattered Chile. September 11, 1973 was that 9/11. But in any case, she was the daughter of the first cousin of Salvador Allende. And she wrote the introduction to this book. And the way she describes her feelings towards this book, the way she describes her feelings towards Galeano. Look, let me just check this out.
Give it to us. Just give it to us straight.
Nah, she says this, look. This breath of hope is what moves me the most in Galeano's work. Like thousands of refugees all over the continent, I also had to leave my country after the military coup of 1973. I couldn't take much with me. Some clothes, family pictures, a small bag with dirt from my garden, and 2 books. An old edition of Odes by Pablo Neruda, and a book with a yellow cover, Open Veins of Latin America. More than 20 years later, I still have that same book with me, which is why I couldn't miss the opportunity to write this introduction and thank Galeano publicly for his stupendous love for freedom and for his contribution to my awareness as a writer and as a citizen of Latin America. As he once said, quote, "It's worthwhile to die for things without which it's not worthwhile to live." You know what I mean? It's like, yo. Now, when a book starts like that, that's a different history. Now I give a crap.
You warned me. That
I gave you a heads up.
Wow.
I gave you a heads up. I gave you a heads up. I told you this was a thing. In any case, so look, just so we know a little bit about Galeano. Obviously, he's Uruguayan, and obviously he's Uruguayan, but he's a Latin American author. He's Uruguayan. Grew up wanting to be a footballer, as almost every Latin American kid does. But he was better at writing.
It's the pass, you know.
It's just what it is, man. But he was better at writing than he was at like crossing the ball. So ended up becoming a journalist. And then he says, in about 90 days span, he wrote this. 90 days.
Wow.
He wrote it in the evenings after he came home from work in the newspaper, and then would plug this out and then go home and then go back to work and then plug this out and then go back to work and then plug this out and in 90 days this happened.
Hardcore dedication.
And he
That
did this.
is true
He
passion.
was like 29 at the time or 30 at the time when this happened. Yeah, this is an amazing text. Before we move on, let me just give this a brief kind of aside. There was this suggestion that Galeano has rejected his own book. So in case anybody here is watching and is conscious of some articles running around somewhere else, like in the New York Times or what have you, talking about how Galeano has quote unquote changed his mind about his book, this is not true.
Really? Oh, good.
It's not true. The New York Times did post an article. I think you guys might have the link, but in any case, the New York Times did post an article, the headline that says author changes his mind on 70s manifesto. And in it, they go through a couple of quotes from him, and they are quotes from him, but stereotypically they've cut the select parts that they like to make it sound as though he's changed his mind about what he said. Nevertheless, his own words with respect to the critique that he has changed his mind on his book. I'm quoting him now. He says, "The book written ages ago is still alive and kicking. I'm simply honest enough to admit that at this point in my life, the old writing style seems rather stodgy, and that it's hard for me to recognize myself in it since I now prefer to be increasingly brief and untrammeled. The voices that have been raised against me and against the open veins of Latin America are seriously ill with bad faith."
Wow.
That's
a good
not
response.
that's not what I'm saying. I am not saying I feel any other way about the content of this text than I did when I wrote it. What I'm saying is I write better now than I wrote then. And that's not surprising because I wrote this when I was 30 and I'm 70 something. Like, what did you think? I wasn't going to get better at writing over time? I'm better now than I was then. So when I look back at it, I'm honest enough to go, I could write better. But the content is the content. I'm still Latin American, bro. What's wrong with you? Like, this still happened. It's still a history. I haven't changed my mind on this, but it's telling that the New York Times would be the one to be like, I wonder if he's changed his mind on all of it. And then propose that idea and put that forward. So, what I want to talk about, I just want us to go through a couple of passages. We're just going to go through a couple of bits and pieces out of the text. Because I will be honest with you, there's some real fire in here.
I feel like I need to,
No, it's
myself.
fire. Like, it's danger. It's like painfully fire. No, but you need to hear this. Check this out.
Okay.
Look,
all right, let's do this.
the book takes us through the entire history of the whole course of 500 years of European colonialism in Latin America. It makes regular reference to European colonialism in Africa. It makes occasional reference to European colonialism in South Asia, because, of course, by now we should already be aware that European colonialism is, had no bounds, at least with respect to the Southern Hemisphere. They raped, pillaged, burned, and did everything they possibly could across the entire Southern Hemisphere, almost without exception. So let's not pick and choose here. But the point is, he takes us through the course of that whole history, 500 years of those things, right? And in taking us through that history, he provides arguably some of the most detailed, accurate information in the largest quantities I have ever seen on this subject. Like, it's not to say that this information doesn't exist, but it exists in bits and pieces in other places. He's compiled all of that information and then delivered it in this wonderful narrative in such a way as it makes it almost impossible to forget. Like, it's been burned into my mind from the day I wrote it, and I have never forgotten it since. Don't forget, so epic was this book, so important and so significant was this book to Latin America, that Hugo Chavez, the ex-president of Venezuela, made sure to give this book to Barack Obama the first time he met him.
Oh, man.
He handed him this book and told him, we can't talk about Latin America until you've read it.
Wow.
We can't have this conversation. You don't know squat. Read the book. And then we can talk about Latin America, my G. The President of the United States. You must know what you did. But regardless of whether or not you know what you did, here's this book. Yo, it feels a while since we said the President of the United States, as if that should carry some weight. Right?
I know, right? Yeah.
President of the United States now is like, what is it? Man, woman, camera, person, TV.
Biggest words.
I went to an Ivy League school. I'm very highly educated. I know words. I have the best words. But there's no better word than stupid. Right? There is none. There is none.
I have the best words.
Best words.
No, the best words. I have all the words. Covfefe.
What the
Covfefe.
fuck? What
Both
the
sides.
fuck
Man.
was that?
Both sides.
Woman, camera, person, TV. Best word. Yo, my man is amazing. In any case, the point is, whatever, man. But the point is, so it gets handed to Barack Obama. The point is, so he takes us through this history, right? So he starts off where you expect he would start off, Christopher Columbus. So
Yeah, of course.
no, but look at the introduction.
That first rape and pillage, yeah.
Yeah. But the introduction is incredible, right? So I'm gonna skip the first page. Like, y'all can read it and you find the book, whatever. But look, slightly further in, right? Check this out. 3 years after the discovery of the New World, what's called the New World, right? 3 years after the discovery of the New World, Columbus personally directed the military campaign against the natives of Haiti, which he called Española. A handful of cavalry, 200-foot soldiers, and a few specially trained dogs decimated the natives. More than 500 shipped to Spain were sold as slaves in Seville and died miserably. Some theologians protested, and the enslavement of natives was formally banned at the beginning of the 16th century. Actually, it wasn't banned, but blessed. Wait. Before each military action, the captains of the conquest were required to read to the natives without a translator, but before a notary public, a long rhetorical requiremento exhorting them to adopt the Holy Catholic faith. No, but wait, he's got the quote.
I know where this is going.
He's got the quote of what they used to say to them.
Oh,
Look, he's got the quote. Listen.
Man.
This is quoting Columbus's Christian soldiers. Quote, "If you do not adopt the Catholic faith,"
Great start.
right? Bearing in mind there is no translator. So they're speaking in Spanish to a bunch of natives
In their country.
in Haiti. Okay. You came to my country and spoke your language. Yo, this is so Karen. You came to my country and spoke your language. Nothing has changed. But okay. It says, if you do not adopt the Catholic faith, or if you maliciously delay in so doing, I certify that with God's help, I would advance powerfully against you and make war on you wherever and however I am able, and will subject you to the yoke and obedience of the church and of their majesties, and take your women and children to be slaves. And as such, I will sell and dispose of them as their majesties may order, and I will take your possessions and do you all the harm and damage that I can. It's a quote. It's a quote. I'm not making this up. It's a historical quote. Wait. To continue, he says, America, native America, was the vast kingdom of the devil as far as Columbus was concerned. Its redemption was impossible or doubtful, but the fanatical mission against the natives' heresy was mixed with the fever that the New World treasures stirred in the conquering hosts. Bernal Diaz del Castillo, faithful comrade of Hernan Cortés in the conquest of Mexico, wrote that they had arrived in America, quote, to serve God and His Majesty, and also to get riches, full stop. End quote. Like, my man just said it.
Yeah, I wish they did that, before
Yeah.
the Iraq War. We're just going to go,
Yo.
and just
It's amazing.
tell it like it is.
It's amazing. It's absolutely amazing.
So listen, here's one of my problems with this.
Tell me.
In the sense of, this book being given to Barack Obama,
Yes,
right?
ma'am.
These people in high echelons of government and whatever, it's not like they're unread. They haven't read a book or two.
Oh, yeah.
They are, they've studied and so on, and they're surrounded by information and data, and nevertheless.
Not Trump, but yes.
Nevertheless, not Trump, nevertheless, mistakes happen. They still repeat history. So on the one hand, I'll put, to care aside, but, these people, you think they really should care. They're governing people and countries and nations.
Well, they do.
Why do they not read and avoid the mistakes of history?
No, they do. They 100% do. This is the weird thing.
They're just
right?
doing it maliciously, and I'm the naive idiot.
A little bit. They're not doing it maliciously. It's not malice. It's honestly not malice. Like, most of them in government, and I mean this across the board, I genuinely mean this. Most people in government genuinely think they're doing the right thing, like the morally right thing. They really do. Like, it's hard to live your life. listen, I know we like to paint the picture of the infinite Nazi and the evil goat conspiracy theorists.
Yeah.
I know that. I know we like to paint that picture, but that space is for Reddit and for idiots out there. Y'all can deal with your conspiracy theory somewhere else. This is real academia over here. We actually studied it, right? Like, I read books, so don't start playing with me all that nonsense. But, see, I told you I was riled up. I'm for the smoke today, for real. Like, I'm for the smoke today. Anybody, I swear to God, someone drop a conspiracy theory, I'm gonna say, I'm gonna tear you up. But, you know, I'm gonna tear you up on live. I feel like, no, remember that scene in Anchorman? I'll slap you in public.
And I'm gonna slap you in public.
You have way too much pubic hair.
Actually, that's a point of pride. I'm very proud of my mane of pubic hair, so thank you.
That killed me. No, that killed me. That killed me. I slap you in public. That was great. But in any case, just the point. The point is, it's absolutely true. As far as I can tell, most people in government genuinely think they're doing the right thing. They genuinely think they're doing the moral thing, and they genuinely think they're doing the thing that is in the best interest of the majority. They genuinely believe that. The question is not, are they doing the right thing? It's for what end are you doing it? That is to say, it's only in our case that we want to change history. They're quite happy with it repeating.
That's quite true.
Who told you they wanted to change it?
Yeah, I made the presumption that, of course, everybody wants positive change.
No, let me ask you a question. Let me ask you a question. Just think about what kind of mind it takes, right? Just think about, I know we talk about the founding fathers and da-da-da, and they did a great, blah, 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 whatever. You get the founding fathers. They're all slave owners. I don't care about founding fathers.
Yeah, it's true. It's true.
But also, I don't care about the founding fathers. But the point is this. All these founding fathers, consciously and deliberately being well-educated, looked at the history of Rome and went, I think we should redo that.
Yeah.
Wait. You're telling me but you know how that ended, right? Yeah. You know where that went, right? Yeah. I know exactly where it went. Right. You want to do this again? Yeah, because I feel like I do a little better. No, but...
Yeah, okay.
All right, but can you see how they thought they were doing it a little better than... All right, but...
Okay.
But we've done this. Because there was a Greek empire. You remember that? And then they did that. All right, okay. I don't think you understand. This is a problem. You see my point? It's not. So they adopted all the regalia of the Roman Empire. So you know the eagle and the the olive leaves, the olive branches, and all of that stuff. They've taken all of the symbols, all the columns, and it's all like Greek architecture, Greek and Roman architecture in the White House and what have you. Where the hell is that? What's that got to do with Greece and Rome? But they've adopted it because they consciously wanted to adopt the imagery and the, idea of
the empire.
Rome. Empire of Rome, though, but of Rome, because their argument was that was the best depiction. That's why it's called a Senate. Why do you think it's called a Senate in America?
Yeah, exactly.
It's Rome. They're trying to replicate Rome, right? And I get it, but you have to be of a certain frame of mind to look at history, see the way that went, and go, no, I'm gonna do that again. Now let's run this again. But we'll just run it a little better. And then again, better for whom? Well, no, better for us. Obviously, it was better for Caesar then, and I want it to be even better for me.
Okay.
What made you think I was trying to get better for you? Hey, listen. Okay. I don't know about you. Listen, no, but we both know this. We're refugees. We're both refugees. I was having this conversation the other day with somebody. We're both refugees, right? And in speaking to the ethnic minorities and what have you, or at least in speaking to the peoples who are victims of oppression or colonialism historically and currently, what makes you think, as a victim of that level of oppression, and having been, in most cases, brought to the Western world of the Northern Hemisphere, either by force or out of financial necessity, as a consequence of what they did in your own country, what makes you think they want you here? You think they want you here?
No, of course, I know.
Fam, I've often said this, if you had to ask them in a referendum, you know they tell you to leave. And then they had a referendum.
And then they told us to leave.
They literally had a referendum, as far as the population was concerned, effectively on foreigners. And the entire population went, I don't like foreigners, I've got to be honest with you. I don't like... No, Dave, listen, Dave, listen, Dave. Dave. John, I think Dave's gone again.
That's your favourite episode, isn't it? Who is it?
Partridge. Although that's Dan.
Partridge!
That's Dan. Dan! 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 not see me. I'll get him later. Dan!
He said Dan, not Dan. It's Dan, not Dan. Don't, because I'm just gonna start screaming Dan now at random points, and no one's gonna know what I'm talking about. We're not doing this. Anyway, so what I'm saying is that these people have no genuine interest in actually stopping history from repeating. Their function is to repeat history. That's what they're trying to do, is recreate history, right? Look. I'll give you a better example. Hold on. Let me find you a better example. Let me find you something. I've got a nice quote here for you. Let me find you something.
I like quotes.
Listen to this. Just check this out. Here we're talking about, at this stage, he's talking about what was happening in what's modern day Bolivia.
Okay.
Back then, it was an area called Potosi, and Potosi was a small kind of city-state unto itself, primarily because Potosi happened to sit on an enormous silver mine. A silver mine, it was said, that was large enough. Well, let me put it to you this way. Between 1503 and 1660, 185,000 kilograms of gold and 16 million kilograms of silver arrived at the Spanish ports. Silver shipped to Spain in little more than a century and a half exceeded 3 times the total European reserves. And it must be remembered that these official figures are not complete.
They literally...
Let me run this back for you.
Pillaged the country.
Let me run it back for you. Between 1503 and 1660, that's 57 years. 157 years. Between 1503 and 1660, that's 2 people's lifetime. 2 people. 185,000 kilograms of gold and 16 million kilograms of silver arrived at Spain, and all the silver shipped to Spain in little more than that century and a half exceeded 3 times the total European reserve. Not Spanish,
that makes
European.
Me ill. That makes me ill.
European.
That makes me ill.
That's one silver mine from one town in modern day Bolivia. One.
That makes me so ill. Like, just in terms of how history turned out, and now the Europeans are the rich of the world.
They took everything!
Because off the back of, the rest of the world.
But check this out. I'm quoting them. Ideological justifications were never in short supply. The bleeding of the New World became an act of charity, an argument for the faith. With the guilt, a whole system of rationalizations for guilty consciences was devised. The natives were used as beasts of burden because they could carry a greater weight than the delicate llama, and this proved that they were in fact beasts of burden. That's one justification. The Viceroy of Mexico felt that there was no better remedy for their natural wickedness than the work of the mind. Juan Gines, a renowned Spanish theologian, argued that they deserved the treatment they got because their sins and idolatries were an offense to God. The Count de Buffon, a French naturalist, noted that the Indians were cold and weak creatures in whom, quote, no activity of the soul could be observed. The Abbé de Port invented a Latin America where degenerate natives lived side by side with dogs that couldn't bark, cows that couldn't be eaten, and impotent camels. Voltaire's Latin America was inhabited by natives who were lazy, stupid, with pigs and navels on their backs, and bald and cowardly lions. Bacon, de Maistre, Montesquieu, Hume, Baudin declined to recognize, quote, the degraded men of the New World as fellow humans. Hegel spoke of Latin America's physical and spiritual impotence and said the natives died when Europe breathed on them.
My God, the hatred.
Hegel.
I didn't realize.
Bacon. Hegel. Like, these aren't small. Hume. We talked about Hume. Baudin. These are not small historical European figures who are explicitly saying, nah, they deserve what they got. Now, you tell me, how far removed is that from history when in 100 years from now, we go back and look at the academics that justified the Iraq war? Or we go back and look at the academics that justified whatever people are doing in Libya and in Yemen and in Saudi Arabia and pillaging oil and God knows whatever else from left, right, and center and continuing to destroy and underdevelop Africa and continuing to underdevelop South America and Southeast Asia. And we look at the academic justifications for this and tell me that we find any that are that different from these. They might not be as aggressive, but I bet you're going to find them, especially with Donald Trump calling every single nation a shithole country. How different is it?
So I feel like the obvious then, I understand the Chomsky end question. Well, what then? You know, I know we're about to flip, but this has been a constant conversation between you and I throughout our history, in the sense that, yeah, we both read a lot, but then what? You know, do you remember like the arguments I used to have of But then what? What do we do? How do we change it? Otherwise, what's the point?
But here's my point. And we are going to switch over in a second. But here's my point. And we'll explain this in part 2. So I know y'all need to come back for part 2 because we need to kick it and really figure this out because it's thought of the week, man. Because we've got to figure this out. Plus, we've got Missy's movies. And you can't miss that. Y'all can't miss Missy's movies. Because what the hell are you going to watch this week if you don't have Missy's movies?
Damn good one this week. Yeah.
I'm just saying. But the point is,
damn good one.
Here's my thing. The work is not resolved by the amount of reading that you do. The understanding is not arrived at by the amount of literature that you ingest. It is not. The understanding was present or needed be present before you read a single book. Your compassion, empathy, and care for your fellow human should have been set in place before you got a library card, my G. If you needed to read Chomsky or Eduardo Galeano to give a living crap about the southern hemisphere of the world, or Africa, or Latin America, Southeast Asia, or the Middle East, or any of these countries that everyone's putting on fire all day long, if you're one of these people out here talking about how can I help, my G, you need help. I don't want that help. Keep it, because you're baffled. You saw suffering at the hands of people that look like you and went, what do I do? Fam, talk to them. Why are you asking me? They're your homies. Hey, part 2. I need to come back. I'm going to see you in a minute. This is fiery. I told you I was here for the smoke. I told you I was here for the smoke.
Loving it.
I told you I was here for the smoke. Listen, it ain't going to end. Part 2, we're coming back. Missy's movies. We've got the thought of the week. We're going to kick it a little bit more. I know you're going to love this one. We'll come back then, so I'm going to see you in a second. All right, peace. What's up, home slice? Well gone, home slice.
Bring it on. I was like, come on.
Part 2. Woo!
Come on. Right, do you want to finish your thoughts?
I don't know, man. I don't know. I'm feeling away.
You're feeling away. You have a right to feel away.
I'm kind of feeling away. I could listen. Let's put it to you like this. I could give you what I think of the thought of the week is, but I don't feel like that would be fair to my man's Galeano. So I'm gonna let homeboy over here give us the conclusion for this week and give you the thought.
Nice.
Because I like. Somebody said to me once, if you can't find the right words, quote somebody else. It's real straightforward. It was mad good advice.
It is, yeah. Somebody else has written it.
Somebody else has said it, and they probably said it better than you. So if you can't find the words, homie, quote somebody. You know what I'm saying? So, even though I can't find the words, Lord knows I can do that.
Man, yeah, you have blown me out the water sometimes.
Even though I can find the words, man. Nah, this week it's testament to the quality of my appreciation of Galeano and everything that he's written. If y'all haven't already figured out what this book is and need to go find it, go download it, go do something. But you need to read this. It's amazing. So, let me put it like this. Galeano says on the final page of the penultimate chapter of his book, he says, in the present process, bearing in mind this is written in 1973, right? So take into consideration this is written in 1973. Bearing all of that in mind, he says, in the present process of integration, or 1971, sorry. In the present process of integration, we neither re-encounter our origins nor come nearer to our goals. Bolivar, Simón Bolívar, famous revolutionary leader of Latin America. Simón Bolívar prophesied shrewdly that the United States seems fated by providence to plague Latin America with woes in the name of liberty. General Motors, or IBM, Facebook and Amazon now, Facebook and Amazon will not step graciously into our shoes and raise the old banners of unity and emancipation which fell in battle. Nor can heroes betrayed yesterday be redeemed by the traitors of today. It's a big load of rottenness that has to be sent to the bottom of the sea on the march to Latin America's reconstruction. The task lies in the hands of the dispossessed, the humiliated, and the accursed. The Latin American cause is above all a social cause. The rebirth of Latin America must start with the overthrow of its masters country by country. We're entering times of rebellion and change. There are those who believe that destiny rests on the knees of the gods. But the truth is that it confronts the conscience of people with a burning challenge.
Wow.
See my point?
I love it. I feel invigorated.
You see my point? What he's saying, at least as far as I can understand it, or at least as far as I have understood it to this point, what he's trying to get across is that it's not a matter of, and I disagree with him slightly, although I understand why he did it, so I don't want to say that out, explicitly. I agree with everything he's saying, but the fact that it's painted as, that he says that he concludes with the idea that being a Latin American cause, it is certainly that. To my mind, though, Now that it's 2020, not 1971, 1973, to give him his credit. In 2020, it's not that it's not a Latin American cause, and it's not that it's not an African cause, and that it's not a Southeast Asian cause, and it's not that it's not a Middle Eastern cause, and it's not that it's not those. It is all of those causes, but it's a Southern Hemisphere cause.
That's true.
It's a Southern Hemisphere cause.
That's true.
For the last 500 years, for all of the disputes between the Northern Hemisphere, they've been gaming us. They agree on one basis. It's us against them.
Yep.
They have disputes between themselves. But in their disputes, it's only a question of what land can I chop up and what have you between us. And we divvy it up.
Yeah.
On this, we don't get to,
what they can take.
There's never been a case where one of them decided to turn coats and help out somebody from the Southern Hemisphere. When that happened? When they changed their mind? That never happened. On that basis, they never switched. The game has always been that. And until we figure that out, because we outnumber them, we out-resource them, and until we figure that out, politically, geopolitically, socially, what have you, we're going to be stuck in that situation. But it's not a Latin American cause now. It's not an African cause now. It's a Southern Hemisphere cause. It's those peoples. It's our peoples. It's all people. It's the historically oppressed for the last 500 years, one way or the other. We could talk about 20 million dead Indians as at the hands of the British. We could talk about 8 million dead natives in Potosi alone. 8 million in Potosi alone is what Galeano is talking about. We could talk about 8 million killed there. We could talk about the estimates of somewhere in the region of, it's in Galeano's book, somewhere in the region of 10 million African slaves that were brought over to Haiti and Jamaica at some stage or another, and Cuba, all told. And that was in one stage, never mind the total numbers. Never mind the possibly 60 million Africans in total brought over to Brazil that created the largest workforce in human history. All slaves, all striving to create Europe. Never mind that. The numbers are unbelievable. But it's because it's always been divvied up on that part as far as they're concerned. As far as we're concerned, we can't divvy ourselves up. For me, hashtag khalas, that game's over. It's 2020, man. Game's over. On that point, quote, and in my opinion, the younger generation of whites, quote, nah, this deserves some respect. And in my opinion, the younger generation of whites, blacks, browns, whatever else there is, you're living in a time of revolution, a time when there has to be change. The people in power have misused it, and now there has to be a change, and a better world has to be built. And the only way it's going to be built is with extreme methods. And I, for one, will join with anyone. I don't care what color you are, as long as you want to change this miserable condition that exists on this earth. That's Brother Malcolm.
Malcolm X.
It's real simple. It's real simple. It's a very simple thing. We could shout out all the names all day long. We could talk about the old heroes of the past that have lighted the way for us, and we could follow that path if we so choose. And we get lost in the process. But we only get lost in the process on condition that we're taking our instruction purely from history instead of taking our instruction from one another. I don't need to read history to understand my compassion for people, fam. I was born that way. Sorry, I care about human beings. I had a family too. Sorry. As far as I'm aware, take into consideration what it means. In the same book, in Galeano's same book, take into consideration what it means that Christopher Columbus writes letters back to his Spanish queen to explain to them that he finds a whole bunch of humble natives who had no problem in boarding his ship as soon as he arrived and accidentally cutting themselves on their swords just to investigate what it was. So much so that apparently a couple of natives fell asleep on the boat, so unthreatened were they by his presence. Imagine what it takes to meet a group of people who are that humble, that welcoming, that calm, have no fear, no worries, no threats because they're born of compassion. For you to turn back up with 500 men, dogs and swords, and slaughter everything you see. We ain't built that way. Or at least historically, it wasn't like that. There's an intuitive compassion. I don't care where you're from. I'm always going to side with the suffering. Always. It's a straightforward principle. It ain't complicated. Who's being oppressed out here? You, I'm on your side. Any room I walk into, yo, who's the victim? No, I'm on your side.
No.
And it's not about politics and it ain't about right, it's about compassion for your fellow human being. Like, what the hell is wrong with you? Like, do I care that somebody else is suffering? And it's not a question of do I care that somebody else is suffering because I need to be a hero, I need to save their life, or God is. It's because they're a brother or a sister. If it's them today, it'll be you tomorrow. That's family. If they could do it to them, why couldn't they do it to you? What made you think you was special? Oh, you thought, because it ain't happening to me right now, I'm good. Well, give it 5 minutes. It's gonna catch you. It's gonna catch you. We counting. Like we've seen them do
there's
it.
an element where people think their ego isn't touched by history.
Fam, and then it is.
Yeah, exactly.
And then it is.
Exactly.
It's a shame when a hard-headed have to see it to believe it. Most deaf, fam. I'm telling you. Like, it's a shame when a hard-headed had to see it to believe it. They got to feel it to believe it. When their head hit the cement. Like, bars on bars on bars out here. I'm telling you, I want that smoke. I'm here for all the smoke. But, hey, for some people, listen. It's an old story. I'll sum it up like this. For those people who are still unsure, let me sum it up like this. And listen, watch the segues, watch the moves, bro. You're gonna love this. Watch the moves. Nah, I know you appreciate this. Watch the moves. It's an old story of a person falling off a building. And as they fall, they repeat to themselves, jusqu'ici tout va bien, jusqu'ici tout va bien, jusqu'ici tout va bien. So far, so good. So far, so good. Just so far, so good.
Hey Vince, tu la connais l'histoire du cam qui tombe d'un building de 50 étages? Et à chaque étage, pour se rassurer, le cam il se répète « Jusqu'ici, tout va bien. Jusqu'ici, tout va bien. Jusqu'ici, tout va bien. »
Je la connaissais, mais avec un rabbin.
Tu vois, c'est comme nous à la Tessie. Jusqu'ici, tout va bien. Mais ce qui compte, c'est pas la chute. C'est l'atterrissage.
Putain, je me sens comme une petite fourmi perdue dans l'univers intergalactique.
It's not the fall. It's the landing.
Yep.
You could tell yourself all day long, so far so good, so far so good, it ain't touching me, I'm alright for now. It ain't the fall, my G. It's the landing. You watching things collapse around you, you think it won't hit you? Gravity is a thing, fam. You live on the earth too. Let me introduce you to it. Here's gravity. Now you could walk around and you could slap your face on the floor, one way or the other, but it's coming. See my point? But on that note, that quote comes from one of my favorite movies all time. But it ain't about my favorite movie all time.
Hey, I think I can guess what that movie is.
But it's about Missy's movie. Now, what's the movie? Shout out the movie.
Le N. One of the
N.
greatest movies ever. One of the greatest
movies of all time.
Ever.
Honestly, super underrated.
Ever.
Super underrated. Film's amazing.
Absolutely.
Film's amazing. But your movie of the week, Missy's movie this week. Come on, man. We need that fire, man. I need something to watch on Netflix.
Seriously.
I got date night tonight.
I got such. Ooh.
Yeah, don't get excited. Don't get excited. I got date night tonight. I need a movie. What's the movie?
Hey, I love that your date night is Monday, but that you have to promise that you always watch the movie I recommend.
All right, I can't make that promise.
You know, I need meaning.
Listen, I know you need meaning.
Unless everybody watching here can show me proof that they have gone. And...
I need wifey to not be mad at me, so it's kind of like this. You know what I mean? It's kind of on her. But yeah, no, I'm with you. It's cool. But all right,
the movie this week is such a cute one.
Okay.
Such a good one. It blew my brain. It's on Netflix.
Okay.
And it's called I Lost My Body.
I Lost My Body?
I Lost My Body. It's very surreal.
Sounds
it is
terrifying.
about a hand that's been amputated. And the whole story is about this hand trying to find its body.
That's a rip-off.
It's beautiful. No, it's really beautiful. And it's actually based on a book called Happy Hand by... Huh?
No, wait. It's based on a book called Happy Hand?
Happy Hand by a guy called Guillaume Laurent.
Okay.
The same guy who wrote Amélie, actually.
I know another version.
Ah, tell me.
It's called the Pianist's Hand, and it's the same story.
Ah,
the exact same story is by Sigismund Krzyzewski about...
Yes! I know
hand.
it!
You know that story, the hand that escapes.
So, I know that story.
Yeah.
So, you will love this movie.
Okay.
So, the guy
Right.
the guy who wrote it is the guy who wrote Amélie. And
Okay.
I know you love Amélie. It's cute, it's really well made. This story is animation.
Yes.
And it's about this Moroccan kid, and you know the way the story is. So it's kind of in the past and the present, and it interweaves emotions and loss and and it plays with sound and silence and realism and surrealism. It's beautifully, beautifully, beautifully made. The soundtrack is killer. It's beautiful to emote so much emotions in this hand trying to find its body, with that sense of loss and, time. And Ithar, it is amazing.
Okay.
Amazing.
Okay.
I lost my body. It's on Netflix. Please watch it.
I lost my body. All right, I'm gonna check that out. I'm actually gonna check that out. That sounds for real. I'm gonna check that out.
Very good.
No, I really am. I really am for real. That sounds.
I know I've won when I win you over.
No, I want to watch this. For real, I want to watch this. That sounds interesting for real.
You're so right. From a point where Sigismund wrote it. Yeah, you would really
no, I'm definitely gonna want to see that. I'm definitely gonna want to see it. And I like that. Like when animation takes itself seriously, I like that.
It's very good, honestly.
No, I like that.
It plays with levels that I didn't even realize. It plays with sound on so many levels, and it was new to me. It's not something I'd seen before, let alone in an animation.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, I'm down. I'm gonna check this out. Hey, that's Missy's Movies, man. Y'all know what it is, man. Missy's Movies. You gotta listen. Missy hasn't got one wrong yet, so
Listen, I know my stuff.
To be fair, you have got a couple wrong, but it's not the way you think.
Never!
We've had this debate. It's not that you don't include. It's not that you the ones you've included are terrible. It's that you don't include some of the great ones.
Like?
I mean, Spawn is an amazing movie. You just never mention it.
Oh, here we go! You and Spawn!
I'm just saying. Pitch Black is one of the greatest films ever made. You just don't mention it. Vin Diesel deserves about 8 Oscars. You just don't talk about it. Shout out Vin Diesel. No, but for real.
Such a boy love. I swear to God, you and Vin Diesel.
Listen.
Who the hell is called Vin
and Diesel? Only one. Vin Diesel. One. That's why there's only one, because you couldn't have 2 of them. That'd be crazy. You couldn't have 2 Vins and 2. Nah, come on, man. Imagine something. Hey, Mr. Diesel and 2 Diesels sent around. What is that?
Listen, I don't mind if they just let him get beaten up by The Rock.
You can bet on it.
You see, this is what it is. This is what it is.
Bigger.
He's not taller in the movie. That's what matters.
I feel like we're gonna do an hour on Instagram just arguing about Vin Diesel and The Rock.
Listen, I'm just saying, if you don't want to include Spawn, Pitch Black in your Instagram movies, it's just incomplete. It's not my peak. It's just incomplete.
Fair, man. Everybody has their opinion, but you're wrong. But anyway.
Vin Diesel. Anyway, listen. Thank you for the movie, homegirl. But thank you, Corinne. Shout out Corinne again. I'm just gonna constantly shout out Corinne. Like I said at the beginning, if you don't have a Corinne in your life, you need to get a Corinne in your life and go be nice to Corinne. You know what I'm saying? Find the Corinne, be nice to her. I don't care who she is. You know what I'm saying? Just go find the Corinne in your life, be nice to Corinne. I'm gonna try and do the same thing. I keep trying to be nice to Corinne. I'm a terrible person, but I keep trying. But yeah, go find the Corinne in your life.
Try
be nice.
harder, man.
I know. I should, for real, I should. But in any case, open seminar on the
Channel your Vin Diesel, you know?
Yeah, channel my Vin Diesel. No, but what does that mean? I'm gonna like punch her and then drive off in a really fast car? Like, over a bridge? Like, what does that mean? Can't channel my inner Vin Diesel.
Poor Corinne, she's no idea, like, the movie.
You know what I'm gonna do?
In my head right
you know what
now.
I'm gonna do? If I channel my inner Vin Diesel, I'm gonna take a swig of Corona, look around really, really thoughtfully, and then deliver 3 ambiguous like lines that are supposed to carry some meaning about lions and speed or something.
And a croaky voice, you know.
That's the deal. Take it or leave it.
In a croaky voice. Yeah.
This is the ASMR stuff, bro. we killing the ASMR. See, we got levels. See how we level up these seminars, bro. Levels. We got ASMR stuff, bro. I feel like Batman now. I live my life a quarter mile at a time. and then you just punch her and drive away. I just feel like that's what it is. But Open Seminar number 19. Y'all know what it is. It's Dr. E's Open Seminars. We do the same thing every week. We'll be here again next week. Same time, same place. IGTV is up on YouTube. After that, share it, subscribe, tell your friends, tell people you know, bring a couple people with you. You know you don't get any other education anywhere else in the world other than this place, quite like this. We don't do it like anybody else. Education for a new generation, and you know nobody kicks bars the way we kick bars, man. So hashtag Open Seminars, hashtag OS19, hashtag Bildung Tutors, hashtag TBT, hashtag Bildung Together, because that's what we're doing. That's what you all hear with me doing right now. We all Bildung Together, so go hashtag that Bildung Together with me. Check out the mixes, subscribe, sign up, and anybody who feels like it, stop hitting me up. Can you please send all messages to Missy's DMs? Homegirl.
You can't just drop me
Listen, Homegirl is really interested in your thoughts and feelings. She takes these polls very seriously. Every week, the poll is of serious interest to her. So if you have additional thoughts and opinions on how these episodes should be edited, or what kind of clips should be included, y'all need to DM all the DMs. Homegirl's Instagram. I ain't even here. It's a business account. I ain't even here, fam. I'm busy. Homegirl loves you guys. But in any case, alright, Cheddar. Listen, Cheddar and Geek, another week in. Y'all know it is. I'm gonna see you all next week for Seminar 20. The big 2-0. We're at Seminar 20, man. It's a big one, man. So we're gonna celebrate. We're gonna have a good time at 20, man. But in any case, thank you all for coming along. I appreciate all your time. I appreciate you guys being here, paying attention, listening in. I know it can be long and boring sometimes, but hey, education is what education is, and we kick it like nobody else does. So thank you, everybody. Peace, health, and blessings to all you and your loved ones. Insofar as you possibly can, please stay home, please stay safe, please mask off when you go outside. Do what you need to do to be caring, compassionate for the people around you. And if you don't understand why you should care about the oppression of peoples from or in the southern hemisphere of the world, my G, tap into yourself a little more. You know what I'm saying? Like, try and find that compassion that apparently seems to be missing for all your brethren and sisters around planet Earth, my G. Like, it shouldn't have to be predicated on anything else. So, yeah, much love, peace, health, blessings. You know what it is. I'll see y'all for 20. Open Seminar number 19. Dr. E, man. Peace, man. I'll see y'all later.
See ya.
What?
Well, for all of us here at Channel 4 News, I'm Ron Burgundy. You stay classy, San Diego.
And thanks for stopping by.
But mainly, stay classy.
Thanks for stopping by.
Stay classy, I'm Ron Burgundy.
Thanks for stopping by.
Stay classy. Ron Burgundy.